Hello dear friends, yes, it's Brother Sean, and as you can see I'm in my mufti because Saturday is cleaning day at the monastery, but in the middle of doing some interesting chores. I had an interesting phone call from a dear friend of the community who was sharing with me their concerns about a friend of theirs who's locked in a mindset of self-loathing. And immediately it brought me back to a film I once seen many years ago, The Carpetbaggers, with this woman dangling from a chandelier. And guess what? The chandelier fell. I hope she wasn't injured with too much cut glass. For me today, it saddens me intensely when I hear of beautiful men and women who are sheer goodness, but they have a distinct self-loathing for themselves. They cannot see the child of God within them. They're locked in a mindset of such disparaging comments of low self-worth, low self-esteem. The self-hate button that they press not only alienates them from their family and friends, but in a community like ours, which is an online lay monastic community, we attract many beautiful souls of like mind. We also attract many wounded soldiers in God's family who use religion as a weapon to feed their guilt, to try and pacify their conscience, their inability to embrace their true self. The purpose of doing this is to follow my heart and to reach out to brothers and sisters of different faiths and none who may be locked in such a mindset where it could be an addictive problem, an addiction to smoking, to drugs, to alcohol, to sex, an addiction to beating themselves up because they can't embrace their true identity. They pretend, they lie to their heart. And it's particularly painful when you meet a man and woman of God who know on surface level they're a child of God, but when it comes into close intimacy with God, masks come out, skeletons come out, and they can't embrace their true self because they feel ashamed. For example, a dear friend is a lesbian, and you couldn't ask for the most charitable, loving, Christ-centered person, but they're locked in a mindset of hate because their church tells them they're evil, that her relationship with her partner is against God. Who is making these assumptions and judgments? It is man. Religious leaders have a lot to answer for. Even the Pope in Rome. Religious leaders, their main duty of care is as a shepherd to their flock. For me as a Catholic Christian, I grew up in a monastery where we found some monks discovered that they were gay, but they were celibate. Some found it very difficult to embrace their sexuality, as did some nuns, because they had this mindset their church has condemned them to hell for daring to be gay, to be different. And that I find appalling, because the God I know and love does not condemn us, does not judge us. He embraces us in love. I have seen many of my colleagues in nursing who struggled with their sexuality, women who lived an unfulfilled life, married to men they didn't love. And it was the same for male nurses. Some male nurses were forced into marriage because it was the accepted norm, and they lived deeply unfulfilled lives. So what is that saying to us today? I believe that we are a child of God, and regardless of who or what we are, if we are a man or a woman who's in conflict about their sexuality, they need help. They need help. And if they put that request out to the universe and ask for divine guidance from someone who's empathic, not judgmental, then the healing science of God's love can touch them and repair them from spiritual poverty to wellness. Look, we can all play games. I've danced and fallen over many handbags and suitcases in my life. And for many years I put myself down. Oh yes. But now, living the contemplative life as a lay Franciscan, I've never been as free and happy. Why? Because one, I was empowered to face myself, to embrace the real me that God sees, to love it, to thank God for the person I am, and not to allow any religious leader, politician, or friend, if they're truly a friend, to cast aspersions on my integrity. That's not arrogance. That's humility. And yet many religions have this control over the innocent mind. And there are spiritual teachers who, whilst living laudable lives of penance and prayer, they had an aversion to talking about sexuality. But sexuality is God's gift of himself to us. And whether we're gay or straight, disabled or heterosexual, that should not be the issue. The issue is, do you know you are loved as a child of God? Jesus did not, my Jesus, the Jesus I have given my life to as a bride of Christ, okay, you've probably said enough is enough. But I'm speaking my truth to support those of you who may be in denial about who you truly are. Why lie to yourself? Jesus, the teacher, my brother, the Son of God, the risen cosmic Christ, he does not deny anybody. He invites us to be open, to be honest, to be truthful, and not to live a lie. How can we say to someone, I love you, when we detest our very self, when we detest what God has made? And how dare anybody, however influential they are in the eyes of God, how dare they abuse their position of trust and come as a shepherd of souls and say to someone, your lifestyle is evil. You are evil. It may say it in the Bible, it doesn't. People quote Leviticus. The born-again fraternity have abused that position of trust. In the book of Leviticus, where it talks about men sleeping with men, that was their custom, that was their culture. I think we need to come back to our heart here, and I think we need to be true to ourselves. You're either Asa or Masa, but you can't be both. If you are a man married with children and you find that you have tendencies to want to be with a person of your own sex, you have a choice. But you have to take responsibility for your life and make a decision before God what is right for your highest good. I'm not telling you to be celibate. It would be good if you could be. But I'm saying to you, honor your heart. And the same for a woman. If you discover that you're married and you're not happy, that is not God's will. God wants you to be happy. He wants you to live a fulfilled life, but he wants you to be honest and truthful and seek help. And he does not want you to hear words that you are evil and a sinner. They are not God's words. They are the words of man, hell-bent on a mission of destruction. Embrace your true heart. Embrace who you are as a child of God. And remember this. Whatever your sexuality is, it is a gift of the Supreme to you. Use it wisely, creatively, and purposefully, but not selfishly. Don't use it as a weapon to abuse others. Use it as a weapon of grace, of love, of healing and power. Come back into your heart and therein find your inner sanctum. But be happy